The story of Queen Vashti is found in the first chapter of the Book of Esther. It happens in the Persian Empire during the reign of King Ahasuerus, identified by most historians as Xerxes I, around the 5th century BC. Vashti's fall from her royal position is quick, but it is not without deeper reasons. Understanding why she was not spared means looking closely at the political, cultural, and social realities of her time. It was the 3rd year of Ahasuerus' reign, and the king had organized a great feast in the royal palace of Shushan. The gathering was no ordinary banquet, it was a display of wealth and power before nobles, princes, and military leaders from all 127 provinces of the empire. For 6 months, the king had been showing off the glory of his reign, and now, during a final 7-day feast, the wine was flowing freely. The atmosphere was one of celebration, pride, and, importantly, public attention on the king. In the middle of this celebration, the king decided to summon Queen Vashti. He sent his servants with a message. She was to appear before the guests, wearing her royal crown, to display her beauty. The details of why she refused are not explained in the biblical account. Some traditions suggest she felt it was improper to appear before a hall of men in such a setting. Others believe it was an act of personal dignity or self-respect. Whatever her reasons, the answer she gave was direct: no. On the surface, it may seem like a private disagreement between husband and wife. But in the Persian royal court, this was not just a personal matter. The king's command carried the weight of law. In an empire where the king's word was absolute, a refusal, especially from the queen, was a public act of defiance. And it happened in front of the most powerful men in the kingdom. For Ahasuerus, this was more than embarrassment. It was a challenge to his authority in the very space where he was displaying his dominance and control. In a court built on strict hierarchy, that was dangerous. The king did not act alone. He turned to his 7 closest advisors, men well versed in the laws and customs of Persia. One of them, Memucan, made a strong case. If Vashti's refusal went unpunished, it would send a message to all women in the empire. Noble women, he warned, would begin to resist their husbands. This, in their view, could cause disorder in households across the empire. This was a deeply patriarchal society, where social stability was thought to depend on strict obedience within the family. Vashti's act was not just seen as disrespect to the king, it was framed as a threat to the social order. In the Persian system, royal decrees could not be reversed once written. This meant that any action the king took in response would be permanent. Ahasuerus was also under pressure to act quickly. The more time that passed without punishment, the more it could be seen as hesitation or weakness. Given the cultural expectations and the legal structure, sparing Vashti was not seen as an option that would preserve the king's authority. The king accepted his advisor's proposal. A decree was issued that Vashti would never again enter the king's presence and that her royal position would be given to someone more worthy. This effectively ended her reign as queen. The decree also declared that every man should be master in his own household, a public reinforcement of the patriarchal order the advisors feared was at risk. In the end, Vashti was not spared because her refusal was interpreted as public rebellion, not private disagreement. Her action embarrassed the king before the most important figures in the empire, threatened the image of absolute royal power, and, according to the advisors, risked social unrest. The political pressures, the legal constraints of Persian decrees, and the patriarchal values of the time combined to make her removal inevitable from the king's perspective. Vashti's departure created a vacancy in the royal household. This would later set the stage for Esther, a Jewish woman, to rise to the position of queen and eventually play a key role in saving her people. While the text does not say whether Vashti lived in exile or faced harsher consequences, her story remains a striking example of how personal conviction could collide with the demands of political power in the ancient world.